The ab rollout is a phenomenal anti-extension core exercise that can not only build a strong core, but have carryover to your major lifts. This movement's great for any fitness level from both beginners to experienced athletes. Today we're going to cover the how-to for the ab rollout, the progressions that come along with this movement, the benefits, and we're going to discuss programming. So for the ab rollout, we're going to break this movement down into 5 steps. For the video itself, we are using a barbell and plates as our main movement modality. Most every athlete has these readily available, and not everybody has an ab wheel. Also, the barbell and plate is a little bit more beginner friendly, along with the other beginner progressions we'll talk about later in this video. So now diving into step 1. Step 1, the setup. So if you're brand new to this, I would recommend grabbing a yoga mat, a foam pad, or an article of clothing for your knees. It makes it a little bit more comfortable. For the barbell and plates, go for 10-pound or 25-pound plates. It's typically a little bit more beginner friendly. The heavier you go, the more friction on the ground those plates will create, and it's going to make the movement a little bit tougher. So find 10 or 25 pounds that don't bend or wiggle if you can. Step 2, now that your barbell and plates and pad are in position, you're going to kneel on that pad with the hips in full extension, and you're going to grip the barbell around shoulder width apart. Now you can go a little bit more narrow or wider depending on what feels most comfortable for you. What you want to avoid is having the arms bend during the movement or just have any impingement or stress on the shoulders. So again, find a grip that works best for you. Step 3, the most important part of this movement, which is what we do with our torso. So now that we have our grip on the barbell and we have our position on the ground, what do we do with the torso? Well, if you've ever done a cat camel in yoga, it's going to pretty much be similar to the cat position, so where you're taking that nice flex position. If you've never done cat camels, think about getting punched in the stomach, how you tighten up and really brace the core and kind of round over in that flex position. That's going to be similar to what you're going to do in this movement. Why are we doing this? Well, for starters, as we roll out and hit extension, it's going to protect the lumbar or the lower back a little bit better. And 2, it's going to be way more efficient for really trying to focus on using the core for this movement and not the hip flexors. Step 4, the initiation of the movement and knowing when to stop. So before initiating the movement, I'm going to challenge you to think about the arms as just being planks or just pillars holding the body up. They are not doing any portion of the movement. The core is going to be the movement leader here. One way I like to think about this is think about that there's a string pulling up on the torso and someone's pulling you forwards and pulling you backwards. It's going to maintain that nice flexed angle, and the core is leading the movement as opposed to the arms and the hips. So now when do you stop when you're rolling out? One way to know is to watch your torso positioning. The moment you feel any break or extension in that nice flexed tight core, that's your cue to roll back up. Now that extension area is going to vary depending on your fitness level and core strength. So if you're not getting out too far, don't worry at first. Perform the movement how it's supposed to be done, and then work into getting larger ranges of motion as you get stronger. Step 5, returning back to the starting position. So similar to step 4, I'm going to challenge you to lead with the core in this movement as well. So think about that string really pulling up on the torso and bringing you backwards. You do not want to initiate the comeback with the hips or flexion of the arms. Think about performing almost a crunch and initiating with the core that way. It's a little bit easier to sequence and think about. So once again, once you hit that point of extension where you start to feel that form breakdown, you're going to think about tightening up that core and then leading with the core and not shooting the hips back or the arms back. So now let's talk about some ab rollout progressions. So if you're a brand new beginner and you're just starting core training, I would highly advise mastering the plank first. That's going to be a little bit better at getting you into the positioning that's going to be needed for the ab rollout. Once you're ready to start tackling this movement, I would say start with the physio ball. There are 3 different movements and progressions you could do with the physio ball. You can perform normal ab rollouts with the knees and feet both on the ground. Then you can add in the feet off the ground once you feel ready. And then you can add in holds with the movement. And you can do those with the feet down or up, depending on your strength level. Once you've conquered the physio ball rollout and the barbell and plate rollout, you can move to the ab wheel. And similar to how we progress these movements, you can perform the ab wheel with the feet down. You can lift the feet to limit the points of contact. And then you can do holds to make the movement more advanced. The ab wheel is lower to the ground. It's going to move a little quicker, so it's going to be a little bit more tough. If you are a true beginner, I would highly suggest conquering the plank and sticking to the physio ball and barbell and plate rollout until you feel comfortable to move to the ab wheel. So with the ab rollout, there are 3 major benefits. The first and most important is it's great for strengthening the core and anti-extension more specifically. This can have carryover to overhead movements and your major lifts. Number 2 is that it's a great movement that can be performed with multiple fitness levels, done correctly with the right progressions and regressions. Again, focus on form over your quantity here. So quality over quantity, always with the ab rollout. Number 3 is this movement is great and easy to track. So no matter what your fitness level is, choose a modality that you can track certain reps with and distances in terms of rolling out with. It's super easy to see where your core strength lies and how much you're gaining or strengthening on a weekly basis. So now how do you program the ab rollout? So if you watch any ab rollout video online, they all pretty much say the same thing. And that is, if you're doing these correctly, you're not gonna be able to perform a ton of them. So that being said, the ab rollout can really be plugged in on any day you're performing core movements as maybe a major core movement or as like, let's say, a final burnout set. 2 recommendations I will give around the ab rollout is number 1, if they make you extremely sore and they have a lot of DOMs in your abs, I would say avoid performing them on days before you have major compound lifts planned. So if you have like a major set of squats coming up that are extremely intense and extremely tough on the body and you know that, I would say avoid ab rollouts the day before just to avoid any form of soreness in the torso going into that set. And then number 2, focus on quality over quantity. If you do these correctly, I'm telling you, you're not gonna be able to perform a lot of them, especially if you're using the right progressions and regressions for your fitness level. So my 2 programming recommendations: avoid the movement if you have heavy lifts coming up. Do them in a way that's gonna strengthen the core and build as opposed to make you sore going into other workouts. And number 2, focus on quality over quantity. And that wraps up our ab rollout tutorial. Now this is a movement that can be done at any fitness level. What's most important is that you're using progressions and regressions based on your core strength and what you're capable of doing. Remember, quality over quantity, always with the ab rollout. If you want more visuals and more programming tips and how to use these for your sport, Google BarBend and ab rollout.